First off, I'd like to apologize for the weird lighting. It is very stormy and cloudy outside, so I try to set things up so they can see me better. But anyways, this is my first update for my Panlet palette for this year. It is in collaboration with the Fantastic Ladies, and the theme this year is tiny pans. So either the smallest in diameter, the smallest in grams, the least amount of product, whatever you want, whatever's tiny to you. And for that, I chose a bunch of depotted singles that I put into this magnetic palette that I created myself. Let's just get straight into what it looked like last month compared to this month, and then I'll talk about my progress. So as you can see, pretty exciting progress, at least to me. I will go through each pan individually. If you don't already know, I actually tally my uses each month in this little notebook. I got that idea, I believe, from Christina Chang originally. I just really like it so that it keeps me accountable, so I know how much I use something, and it's another way to show progress if it doesn't visibly look that different. So this first shade, I used it once. I kind of expected that. I realized that I don't really like it. It's like a deep orangey, muted mustardy kind of thing, and I'll put up a picture of a look I made with it. It doesn't look horrible, I just don't like it. It kind of made me feel gross. So I have a feeling I will probably franken that in the future, but I'll probably wait till I get some other progress on these and then create a new shade once I feel like I'm ready. Now this deeper red shade I used 6 times, and I'll probably put up some photos of looks that I liked with these. I didn't take a picture every day because sometimes I did a makeup look that looked awful, not gonna lie. This month was kind of a month of me experimenting with these shades and other shades to figure out what looked good and what did not. And I'm not surprised that I hit pan on this because I had pan in it before, I repressed it, so it was very thin in there, but it's still very exciting to see new pan. And speaking of progress, I also hit pan in this deep brown shade. I used it a total of 17 times in this past month, and most of the time it was as a liner or as a slight deepener in the outer corner. I did like a lot of the looks that I had it with in terms of being a liner. I especially liked the really neutral looks this month for some reason. I just was feeling neutral. This next one, I don't know how well you can see progress, but there's definitely an increase in the dip. I think it's getting close to pan. Not sure. I used it a total of 12 times this past month, including today. You can't really see it, but I kind of just used it as a transition initial shade color. I've done that most of the time because it is very light. Now this next shade, I only used 5 times, but it looks like there's so much progress because it was so thin in the pan, and I honestly was refraining from using it because I didn't want to rush through it because I actually really do like this color. Honestly, not sure where I left off because someone decided to blow away all the leaves with the loudest leaf blower ever for about 10 minutes. So continuing on. I used this shade 7 times, and this one I'm still trying to figure out how I want to use it. It's very light, so it would be an initial transition shade for me, but I tried using it as a brow bone highlight and it looked a little bit too dark and grayish, and it didn't quite work, so not sure. This one I used 6 times, and you can definitely see progress because it was very thin in the pan. I'm very excited. This one will probably be a focus shade for the next month. This shade right here is by far the one I used the most out of all of these, if you couldn't tell. I completely finished this today, actually. I used it 18 times, but keep in mind, 18 uses just means 18 days, and the reason I went through this so quickly, one, it didn't have that much product in it because it came from a really tiny pan that was spread out into a big pan, and 2, every day I multitask it, typically. There were times that I used it on the lid. It was fine. It was a bit of a grayish taupe for my liking, but it also didn't look bad or anything. It was just fine. It wasn't, I just realized I don't love this formula. It's not that metallic. I have this gold one on my eyes today, and it's just kind of lackluster. But I used it a lot as an inner corner highlight or as a face highlight, and about halfway through the month I realized I liked it better if I mixed it with the gold because they kind of made it a more neutral undertone rather than a more cool tone or a really yellow. I'm actually having them mixed on my cheeks today. But yeah, it was either inner corner highlight, brow bone highlight, face highlight, or lid shade. I think it's easy to see how I use it so quickly, but I'm just very happy to get this one out. I feel accomplished. This pink shade, while I don't love the formula, I did manage to use it 5 times and hit pan again because these pans that they originally came in were quite small and I repressed them into larger pans. But again, it was just kind of lackluster. I actually tried it in my crease one time. It wasn't horrible in that way. I don't know. I tried using it as like a blush topperish shade, but I think mixing this one made it too gray, and then that time it was just awful. It did not work out. But I think there's a way I can maybe use these on the cheeks and it's still working. Maybe mixing it with the gold or the bronze, I don't know. Speaking of the gold, I used that one 11 times, and a lot of that time was being mixed with this shade. I think I would have used it more if I realized earlier that I like these two better together, but other than that, I made really significant progress. As you can see, this big old pan. I have it as a brow bone highlight today. I tried it in like blending out creases looks. It's just kind of a weird texture, these ones, where it looks a little bit too textured in the crease, but also not metallic enough to go on the lid. They're just not my favorite. But there's so little in them that I'm like, I just want to use them up to feel accomplished, so it's fine. And this last one I only used 5 times. I made a slight dip. Some of those times were using them as a blush. I think of a picture. I kind of use them as blush toppers because I still had a blush underneath. So I'm still experimenting, but I think I can find ways to get use out of these, not just as eyeshadows. So that's the overview of all my uses. I'm very proud that I've used all of them at least 5 times, with the exception of this shade, which I just don't really like. Now let's go over my goals for next month. Now, I'm just gonna be ambitious because in the past I'm always like hesitant, where I'm like, I'm not gonna make any goals, I don't know if I can do it, and then I always blow those goals out of the water. And I'm like, I should have just done something. So I'm gonna make big goals, and if I don't reach them, it's fine. I could do it the next month. But I definitely want to finish these 2 mattes. That should not be hard. There is not that much left in there. I would also love to finish this gold because there's not that much left, and I think I can use it as a face highlight in a bunch of different ways. I just want to get it on my life. I don't love it. I would love to hit pan in both of these. I think I'll start working on this once this is done. I would love to hit pan in this one. Basically, I want to hit pan or finish all of these except for this one by next month. Yep. I'm thinking I might franken these 2 with a like whitish shade and use them as face highlights just to get some more use out of them. Finish these 3, hit pan in these 3, and then just continue expanding the pan on these 2. And maybe use this. But that is my first update for my Pan That Palette Tiny Pans for 2021. I hope that you enjoyed. Let me know if you are also doing a Pan That Palette, if it's the Tiny Pans themed or just whatever you wanted to do. I would love to see your progress, or you can just tell me how your progress is going or how you're feeling. But thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you have an amazing day. Bye!